The idea for this project came from my girlfriend. We have a lot of planters in the house, so one day she asked me to make an automatic irrigation system for some of them. So this is it. Looks kind of crude, but it works. Up top we saw the water tank, and here we see a close-up of pretty much the rest of the system. There's the Arduino Uno, the breadboard for the circuitry, the solenoid valve, the manifold, and we don't see here the 12-volt power supply adapter. And here's the moisture sensor. The holes on the cutting board I used were initially meant for a solar panel, but that didn't really work out so well. I bought a 12-volt solar panel with 5.2 watts, so that's enough to power my solenoid. But I soldered it a bit too much, or a bit too roughly, I guess. As you can see here, while I was trying to solder some wires to the connecting points, I damaged the solar panel itself. And when I soldered the wires to another location, I didn't get any reading, so I assumed I pretty much damaged the solar panel irreversibly. And I'll talk a little bit more about the two capacitors we see here and the diode when we go over the circuit itself, even though I eventually didn't really use them. So this is the entire circuit. The soil moisture sensor is used to let the Arduino know when to water. The resistor is put here to prevent any high currents from the battery reaching the Arduino. The transistor is used in this circuit as a switch. So when it gets a high signal from pin D8, it knows to conduct electricity and let the electricity flow through the solenoid. Now, as I said earlier, I eventually didn't use a solar panel. I used a 12-volt power supply adapter. But if I had used it, I have the two capacitors here and the diode that you saw in the image earlier. So I put the capacitors here to give the system some breathing room when it's getting cloudy. And the diode is put here to prevent any charges built up on the capacitors from reaching the solar panel. So this is the Simulink program I uploaded to the Arduino. I measured the moisture content in our planters right before my girlfriend said they needed watering, which came to be 600. I have a rate transition block here because I have two blocks that use two different sample times. The analog input is every 2 hours, which measures the moisture every 2 hours. And the repeating sequence block is every 60 seconds. I came to that number because I measured how much water goes through the solenoid when it's open, and 60 seconds gave me a nice amount of water. In conclusion, this project was pretty nice. The algorithm itself was pretty simple, but I got to sharpen my soldering skills. And most of the time I spent on this project was for soldering and troubleshooting after I didn't solder correctly.